Yeah, how you riding your bike? Yeah, that's how you start it. Kick it. Yeah, we gotta fix this. We gotta fix this up. What's wrong with it?
The broken head. This broken stomach.
The front end's kind of different, messed up.
Yes.
There's the wrong parts on there, and what else we gotta do?
Vermin this engine half open.
We gonna work on it together?
Yes. It's a big hole. It's a big hole.
Does that need to be fixed?
Yes. I get a new one.
What else?
I'm gonna fix this light.
Fix the light? It's not right?
Not right. This is a whole light up. This is a whole light up.
Yep.
This is a new one. It's real. These
All right, leave it alone. Okay. What else we gotta do? Anything else?
this is back tire.
Back tire?
This new tires. This is new tires.
Yep.
There are new tires right here. New tire over here.
Hello and welcome back to Jesse's Vintage Garage, and here we got the 68 Triumph Bonneville up on the left here. My son kind of thinks it's his bike, so you probably saw that in the beginning there. But anyways, we're going to start talking about some of this bike and some of the particulars of 68. So 68 saw a lot of first year stuff and a lot of last year things, a few last year things for sure. Starting off, I guess. This was the first year of the twin leading front brake shoe, and before that it was just single, and then there's a hubcap on the other side. See that they added this to beautify it a little bit. 68 was also a mid-year change. They went from being 26 thread throughout the bike to 24 thread halfway through the year. So we're going to come across a lot of problems with that when we start working on this, what all got different and what all is not different. Because in 69, a lot of components, like in the front end for sure, have 24 thread, and this thing should have 26 thread. Along with like these fork pieces here. There's a lip here on this one. This is actually the later 68, 69 style. Because in earlier 68s and 7s, they didn't have this lip here, and you had to use a gator clip on the fork gators. This is the last year of the eyebrow style tank badge. This is one of the most attractive ones, I think, other than the garden gate. And they went to the different style, which was seen from 69 all the way to 83, 84. Because in 69 was the first year of the flashes with the new style tank badge, or scallops, whatever you want to call them. And they also in 69, they went to painted fenders. It's the last year of the stainless fender until they brought it back in what, 74?
Yeah, 73.
73, 74. Another new feature for 68 was they opened up this primary cover and put a cover here so you can get to easier timing. This is removable here. On the carburetors, they went from monoblock to concentric carburetors in 1968. So there's probably a lot more things we'll come across that were new we can talk about later down the road. So this bike's going to get totally restored, hopefully, back to what it should look like in 68. So, first off, we're going to work on assessing this bike. See what we got to work with here. It's missing the complete wiring harness. Some components like the headlamp, it's not correct up here. In the previous segment there, I just missed a key thing here on the switch. They went from having the ignition switch back here on this cover in '67 to putting it up on one of the headlamp ears that go right here. This is actually not correct. This is somebody's customizing. They put like a 500 smaller headlamp on here. And I mean, it probably looked pretty good when it was nice and shiny, but it's kind of rusty now, and this is not how it's supposed to look, and it's not really how I want it to look. So we're going to be putting the front end all the way back to the way it was supposed to be, for sure. And these custom chrome pieces of pipe here were added, and to make it look pretty or whatever with this headlamp. So the switch was actually up here in '68 going forward. Yeah, anyway, I know the wiring harness is gutted on this thing, but there's a few, like I was saying, there's a few things throughout the bike that have the wires yet. So we have wires going to the points here. We'll check all that out. We have wires on the taillight. I felt them earlier or something. But, yeah, otherwise everything underneath here is missing. But I think we talked about this before. Yeah, here's the taillight wire. That's all we got to work with. So we got the seat removed, we got the tank off, and we opened up the points cover here to find that the points are in there. But this is the later style where they used to have the condensers in here, and then now they're positioned remotely in '68. And this is the later style cover because it's like stepped or something. Yeah. And the
67 was like this and had condensers in it. 67 and earlier. 68 and later was like this.
So it mentions that the condensers are up here on where the petrol tank or fuel tank mounts. And it's still there. So we'll be able to wire that up. So we got the plugs out now. We're kind of like looking over some stuff, and this bike's pretty much going to come all the way apart because I want to have it nice and restored, and it makes total sense to kind of like go into the engine. So we're going to work on removing a lot of this stuff and getting it down to the frame, because we know that the frame has to get repainted. So, and that'll be a good solid starting base, is having a nice painted frame. So in the meantime, we're going to work on, like I said, just taking this thing all the way apart, and then we'll work on other components as we go forward on the restoration video. But assessing it, I think all the major components are sitting here. They're just needing, cleaned up and maybe repainted. I kind of don't want it to have this worn out look. I kind of want it to be nice and new looking again. We're gonna need like new rubbers throughout. This is missing part of the rubber there. This isn't all worn off. That's kind of nice. What do you think?
Go through, clean the sludge trap.
Oh yeah, the sludge trap. That's way inside. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of condition this head's in. So yeah, I guess we'll just start taking this apart. I thought about trying to get this thing running, but then we kind of thought, well, we're just going to tear it apart. So, I mean, but here's the carburetor. Look how corroded, or not really corroded, but just how, well, yeah, I call that corrosion. Moisture or whatever probably caused that.
Yeah, I guess.
And there's the body. Now, we've got worse to work before, but we're going to see what we can do to these.
Yeah, the main jet's plugged. Full of, yeah. But they're late model carburetors with the.
Oh yeah, it's got like the larger
and
push
it's
button.
got drains. So the other carburetor looks just like it.
Yeah, the inside of it. Now, technically, the first year of the concentric, it wouldn't have had a drain plug, right?
Right.
And then it
And
wouldn't.
this jet holder wouldn't have been extended right here. It would have been a flat square, and the main jet would have been up a little higher, and it would have had a shorter needle, because when they went to these drain holes, the float bowl was actually extended a little. It went down, and they dropped the main jet down into the hole down into there. So they extended it that 1/8 of an inch. And then thereby they made the needles longer. So when you have this style, you have to have all the parts that went with that.
Right, you can't mix and match.
Yeah.
The other thing, of course, was the different tickler or primer.
Yep.
But
Newer style primer. Yep. So these are later carburetors. Somebody's replaced them. Too bad they're so grody.
I think the person that had it before was working on trying to get it going, because there's a lot of newer hardware sitting around everywhere, like right here and right there. We got new stud up here with nuts on it. The tank mounting hardware was all new. So I don't know. It might be a
Motor mounts new down here too.
Yeah, that hardware is too. So,
and this one.
Yeah, and the one up front.
It's all new.
So we might be heading in a good direction here with this bike. So
looks like they put new coils on it. New spark plug wires.
So we're still taking stuff apart here. So pretty soon we'll be all stripped down to just the frame, front frame and rear frame section. We got the right side exhaust off. We got the carbs all off. We just saw a little bit of what the condition the carbs are in. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the stuff off, and I'm kind of keeping it together as a group so I don't lose the stuff. Some of the stuff will get replaced, but when we go to replace it, we'll worry about it then instead of now, leaving it all separated. Like this bracket here, this will probably get repainted, but I know how it went or whatever. This way. This foot peg is bent a little bit, but I'm not sure. We might be able to fix that. We'll see as we're assessing everything here. We noticed that the oil tank, the overhead oiler line wasn't hooked up. So if we did get it running by chance, if we did mess with it, it would have sprayed oil everywhere if we wouldn't have saw that earlier. But we were going to check things anyway.
Yeah, because it goes to here. It goes on this T down here, on the return.
Yeah.
So it would have started up if we didn't hook that up. It would have started squirting oil out there.
When we took the clutch cable out, we noticed there was transmission oil in there. That's a good sign. I think the oil tank was empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to drain it anyway, though.
And yeah.
Or take it out.
So we're about done on this side. We're going to take this foot peg off here and then go.
Bracket.
And, yeah, we'll worry about taking the motor out a little bit later, hopefully. But we'll work on this side, then we'll take everything off the other side, then we'll work on taking the tank off and stuff. We got the oil tank out, and we got the side cover off this side off, and the battery box and stuff. Now we're going to work on taking stuff off this side, so we'll be taking the exhaust off, and then this plate, and then we'll be able to kind of like leave the rolling chassis there, and then we'll work on taking the engine out. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting it if we take everything else off and leave just the frame. So that's our theory anyway. So let's get started on that now. We got the exhaust removed from this side. We're going to work on removing the chain next, and then the chain guard stuff. We got all the brake and all the rear motor mount stuff all removed here too. So then we're going to, after that, we get this all off here. We're going to work on removing the engine. So we'll be taking the head steady brackets off the top here, the front motor mount stud and hardware there. We'll take that off, and then there's a center stud underneath here. We're going to be removing, taking it off. We'll be able to pull the motor right out. Then we'll leave nothing but a rolling chassis behind, kind of. Remove the bolt here from the back side of the chain guard here, and then it allows this to kind of move. And then there's a a stepped bolt back here that will allow it to come up. But I don't think we can get this off quite yet because of the extra shroud down here. So I'll take the chain off. The lower part of the chain guard here was attached to this P-clamp here, and then I turned around and unbolted this, so I should be able to bring this up now, possibly. We have the chain removed now, and we didn't take this off yet because we got to get the fender off. It looks like to be able to remove this, but we just need to move it back for sure. So when we go to take the motor out, it clears all this because this hangs over into the motor a little bit. So we won't be fighting that. We're going to work on taking the remaining hardware off the bottom and the front there. And then we got the frame protected up here. We're going to try to pull this whole thing out as a group. See how that goes. Should be able to in this frame. It's the oil and frame ones that had the problem from what we believe. So we'll see when this one... We're going to secure this bike down so it doesn't like flop around. We go monkeying on it and taking this out. So we were reading the manual and it's talking about how we needed to remove these main bolts here out of the rocker boxes. It also goes on to talk about how some bikes you might have to remove the box entirely off the front and rear to clear this little gap here. But we're going to try to take it off with just like this, see how that goes. It's for the clearance, is pretty much what it is. These bolts hanging out would just be able to been banging into the frame here, and another reason why I got like protected a little bit. We're not going to save the paint, but we're going to repaint. But I don't want any damage. I don't want the rocker box to scratch up from the iron up here, scratching this easy to scratch aluminum stuff. So anyway, we also noticed that when we were looking at this, we had a rocker box shaft here has an O-ring hanging out here. So at one time either this was put in. I'm surprised it ain't leaking, but it's got damaged or whatever. It's all going to get redone anyway, but thought I'd point that out right away. So we're going to remove this bottom bolt here next, and then front bolt. And we're going to work on taking this out. Yeah, we're going to have to remove these rocker boxes. We can't get it past. It touches right up here and starts grinding on stuff. And when it says some models, it's probably meaning the 69 and 70. When they had 69, they put a bracket that actually came off the other side, and you're able to just pull it right out the side. But unlike 68 and earlier, you got to come up out of this U-joint or U-shaped bracket joint here and then go past. But we can't do that with these two guys in the way. So we're going to take them off quick. I got the 3 nuts removed from the bottom here, and then we're removing these little headed bolts right here. These little bolts here, they went on from the 50s all the way to 68. In 69 they changed this bolt to a bigger head up there, a shorter head, not as tall as that is right there. The other thing is we're gonna be able to see what this looks like underneath here. So this is 11/32 head bolt. Here we are. There we are. Not so bad so far. The other thing is, I'm not surprised we had to take these off, but because this is usually how we put them together. We put the bottom end in and we put the rest, the top end going up in, because of this whole reason why we can't put the whole motor in at once. With this bike for sure, and the 71 was the same way, and you know, some things like the Norton you can kind of put a whole group in, but it's so much heavier than than at little components at a time and then work your way up than it is all at once. We're taking out the push rods right now and labeling them so we kind of remember how they went. We don't want to mix it up.
The same hole.
They're all the same length and everything, but the wear is the only thing that's different between every single one of them because they all wear differently. So if we're able to put them back in the same hole, we know we won't have any sort of wear problem or anything like that. So we got right exhaust, left intake, right intake.
Yeah.
Well, there we are. It came right out. So sitting over here, we're going to end up going over here, checking it out. We're going to work on taking this thing all the way down to the main frame and split the two frame pieces so I can get it all ready to be painted, because it's got all the brackets on it. It's set up just like stock. I don't see any damage. We're going to check it all out, but
other than everything's loose.
yeah, everything's loose. But we're going to make sure that there's nothing missing. I don't think there was before we go and paint it, but otherwise I think we're sitting pretty good here. Sand it down and so on. So we're going to remove all the rear stuff here, take the front end completely off, and we'll be working on that front end coming up and so on. So we're going to work on removing the rest of this stuff quick. Here we got almost everything removed here. We're just about in the final stage here of taking the front end off. We're going to loosen up the pinch bolt here and then loosen up this damper top sleeve nut. And we got the gauges off and set aside.
Here loose.
Yeah, everything's loose on this thing. That's one thing we were just talking about. So clearly do not ride this bike when we get it, I guess. You know, it's a good thing we didn't like do something stupid, because everything was like loose. All the motor hardware, the shocks were loose on the top and then the bottom ones. Yeah, I mean, even when I went to take the nuts out, the bolts out the top of the head there, didn't take any effort to bring them out, and they're under pressure even. These are loose. Earlier in this video, I was talking about these sleeves here. These are actually like pieces of pipe that someone put in here to dress it up when they put that 500 headlight on there and stuff. This is all going away. We're going to be putting this all back to original front end. So it'll be more exciting coming up when we start putting this bike together than me sitting here video recording us taking all the bolts and nuts out. So we're kind of skipped ahead a little bit, because the taking it apart didn't really matter much. It's going back together where some more important details are going to be prominent when we start working. So we're going to finish this up here, lay it all out, and then we'll come to an end probably on this video. Here we got the 68 Bonneville all tore apart. Just got stuff laid out, kind of making sure all the fittings and stuff were all in good shape. We're working on getting these studs out, and then get this ready to get painted. The other thing is we're going to, coming up when we go to start putting this back together, we're going to work on doing a conversion to make the neck bearings be roller bearings instead of the ball bearing like originally were, because they were all in there, but we're just going to go with something better, the tapered roller bearing. And I'll work on finishing up, taking the rest of these components off of here so I can get all this stuff repainted, along with the rear fender, disassembling it the rest of the way. And the motor sitting over here. We'll work on that coming up. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed everything, watching this thing come apart as we start restoring this 1968 Triumph Bonneville. And we'll see you again soon. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up.